All right, Andy, you've been all over this from day one. What is the latest with the pursuit of Yamamoto from both the Mets and the Yankees?
You want me to start with the Mets or Yankees?
Yankees.
You're the host.
Yeah, because I want to save the best for last. Start with the Yankees.
This is what I understand about Yamamoto and the Yankees, is that the player is intrigued by the pinstripes, the iconography, the whole Yankee thing.
Yuck.
And this, as the Yankees' advantages have probably been diminished somewhat by baseball's playoff format and economic model and luxury taxes and all these things, one advantage they still hold is the international prestige. Globally, this is probably the only baseball brand that's recognized around the globe that stands for winning. So if you have a slightly more distanced understanding of MLB, the New York Yankees, and that is a factor here for sure. And by the way, a little dust up that Joel Wolf, who is the agent for Yamamoto and Stanton, got into with Cashman the other day. Cashman made some comments about Stanton being hurt. Wolf pushed back with some comments. No bearing on the Yamamoto. And so these two are professionals. Cashman and Wolf have been dealing with each other for years. They've talked since about other players since this little dust up. Yamamoto doesn't even know about Stanton or Cashman, the whole thing, so not a factor.
I'm glad you brought up the global appeal of the Yankees, because that is definitely part of it, I think. You know, obviously, he would be familiar with Hideki Matsui, with Ichiro Suzuki,
Tanaka,
with Masahiro Tanaka, all of them having pitched or played in Yankee Stadium with the Bronx. So I think that the Yankees' interest is very real. And, you know, mentioning that this is the first time that Hal Steinbrenner and Steve Cohen could go head-to-head over a free agent, it's going to be fascinating, guys.
Speaking of the Mets.
Yeah, so that's all I want to get to. Now that we got the Yankees out of the way, that's cute. He wants to be in pinstripes. The Mets have the money, and that's why they're in the conversation here. You obviously know more about this than us, and I want you to educate on us. I feel like Steve Cohen will not be outbid here. Doesn't mean he's going to get him. Where do we stand with the Mets?
The Mets are one of many teams that want him, and what's been made clear to me, too, is that just because we're in New York, we're talking about the Mets and Yankees, this is not a two-team race. I mean, every scout that went over there seemed to absolutely love him. Seen as a top pitcher. Tim Lincecum kind of comps because of his height and his stuff, but maybe a more durable body. Lincecum was really wiry, as you see. He's not quite, he's small like Lincecum, but he's not slight like Lincecum. Anyway, the Mets are one of many teams that really like him. One issue that's come up that's a legitimate thing sometimes in Japanese players sometimes want to come to a team that doesn't have a pre-existing Japanese star.
Right.
Good news for Mets and the Mets and their fans. This is not an issue with the Mets, because the way this was explained to me is this has to do with the existing star needs to kind of roll out the welcome mat and make sure that the guy who might be coming says you would be welcome here. Senga, who, by the way, also represented by Joel Wolf, has rolled out the red carpet for the Mets already. He's gone to the Mets, and he said, I want Yamamoto. Yamamoto is well aware himself that Senga wants him there, so this is not an issue at all. But another team that's really getting talked up about this is the Red Sox. I'm told that one of Yamamoto's mentors in the game is Yoshida in Boston, and he has a relationship with Craig Breslow, the new chief baseball officer, because of Seiya Suzuki and the Cubs, also represented by Joel Wolf. So there are a lot of connections here. Some of them, only one of them will end up meaning anything. He's going to only sign with one team. But there are a lot of teams that are in on this guy, including the Yankees and Mets.
Yeah, and I'm not going to ask you where he's going to sign, but I am going to ask you, out of all those teams, who do you think has the most money?
I can answer that very clearly. The New York Mets.
Woo, baby, come on, Yamamoto, follow that money.
And they want him. They want this player, as do others. But don't count the Mets out. I'm just saying, I think the Yankees are coming in at an advantage here. All
right, let's make the call to the bullpen and welcome in Jerry Blevins. Jerry, is Yamamoto someone you think the Mets and Yankees should be all in on?
I do. I really do. I think he is a budding superstar. Like, I don't understand the Lincecum comps. The comparison to Tim Lincecum, he was such a freak. I know that was his nickname, but his mechanics were very deceptive and hard to repeat. He was just pure stuff. Yamamoto is way more polished than what Lincecum brought to the table, which might be an advantage for Lincecum in the short term, but he's going to age well, the Yamamoto, I believe, because of how clean his delivery is, not to mention his great stuff. So I think he is, at 25 years old, fits to that category of what David Stearns and Steve Cohen have talked about. If there's a guy out there that fits their window, this guy's 25. If you're going to spend on a 25-year-old free agent that has a potential to be a superstar, I think this is your guy, especially on the pitching side.